This is a quote from Soren Kierkegaard's book, The Lilies of the Field and the Birds of the Air, published May 14, 1849, as translated by Walter Lowrie in 1940 and again in 1961, page 349 and 350. But might it not be possible to state quite briefly how it is that joy is the content of this instruction of the lilies and the birds? Or what is the content of this instruction of theirs on the subject of joy? That is to say, might it not be possible to define very briefly the thought content of this instruction of theirs? Yes, indeed, that is easy to do. For simple as the lilies and the birds are, they certainly are not scatterbrained. So then this is easily done. And let us not forget that in this direction a very great abridgment is already accomplished, by the fact that the lilies and the birds are themselves what they give instruction in, do themselves express that wherein as teachers they give instruction. This in contrast to the direct and primitive originality which consists in the fact that the lilies and the birds possess in the strictest sense at first hand the matter in which they give instruction. This is acquired originality. And again, this acquired originality in the lilies and the birds is simplicity. For the simplicity of instruction does not so much depend upon whether one employs simple and everyday expressions or grandiloquent and learned expressions. No, simplicity consists in the fact that the teacher himself is that wherein he imparts instruction. And such is the case with the lilies and the birds. But their instruction in joy, which their lives in turn express, is quite simply as follows. There is today. Upon the word is there falls an infinite emphasis. There is today. And again, there is no concern for the morrow, or for the day after. This is not frivolity on the part of the lilies and the birds, but it is the joy of silence and obedience. For when thou dost hold thy peace in the solemn silence which prevails in nature, the morrow is non-existent, that baleful day which is the invention of chattering and disobedience. But when by reason of silence and obedience the morrow is non-existent, today is. It is. And then there is joy, as there is in the lilies and the birds. What is joy? Or what is it to be joyful? It is to be present to oneself. But to be truly present to oneself is this thinking of today. That is, this thing of being today, of truly being today. And in the same degree that it is more true that thou art today, in the same degree that thou art quite present to thyself in being today. In that very same degree is the baleful tomorrow non-existent for thee. Joy is the present tense, with the whole emphasis upon the present. Therefore it is that God is blessed, who eternally says, today. And therefore it is that the lilies and the birds are joy, because with silence and unconditional obedience, they are entirely present to themselves in being today.